Hands on, feet on, powered on your mark. On is the start of everything. On is the key to learning. Being on an environment, not just in it. Being on the world, not just of it.
Tarkett understands how important On is.
We work on it every day. On the ground with you, designing flooring experiences to grow on, dream on, and get on with it.
Hi, thank you for joining us for our presentation on supporting an innovative curriculum through the built environment. We're going to delve into how existing building spaces can be transformed into environments that can serve progressive curriculums, addressing the common problem of when an ideal space might not be available. We will talk generally about what types of progressive learning we are engaging in, and then look at two case studies, one for Academy of the City, a charter school in Queens, New York, and a second developed by Flux for a high school in Montgomery County. I'm Matt McChesney, a partner with KSS Architects. I'm joined today by Richard Lee, the former executive director and founding principal of Academy of the City, and Ryan Anthony, the director of innovation at Flux. Richard, would you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Academy of the City?
Sure. Hi, I'm Richard Lee. I've been in education for 25 years, 10 years as a teacher in mostly elementary grades, and then leading schools, the two charter schools, Academy of the City Charter School, our Royal Neighborhood Charter School, and also Bank Street School for Children. A deep background in progressive education in urban settings, focusing on New York City. Academy of the City was founded in 2011 with a kindergarten first grade and now has expanded to kindergarten through seventh grade with over 650 students. It will eventually size out at K-8. The mission and vision of Academy of the City was to promote independence and self-reflective learners, and we were seeking a space that would do so. The elementary school campus is located in Woodside, and then we were seeking a second campus, which eventually ended up being in Astoria. Project-based learning is an important part of the tenets of Academy of the City, with experiential learning and hands-on curriculum, and the specialist involvement in the curriculum is important as well.
Thanks, Richard. Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Ryan Anthony. I'm the Director of Innovation at Flux. And Flux is a STEM experience center located outside of Philadelphia, PA, where we help clients and schools kind of imagine the experiences, the projects, the programs, and products that go on in a physical new. So we help schools kind of understand what new innovations in education are, how they can go about and bring those experiences to their schools. So not just the physical space that we can design, but the actual experiences that take place in them. And I think we have a pretty cool video we put together to kind of summarize some of the work that we do. And also with our close partnership of our parent company, Corbett Inc., we're excited to have Flux here outside of Philadelphia. And we have a video that kind of highlights a little bit more of what we do.
Hi, my name is Ryan Anthony and I'm here at Flux, and today we're going to talk about the need for better learning environments. Education as a whole is undergoing a very large transformation. The culture and pedagogy is changing at schools, but unfortunately the physical space is not. Students today are no longer okay with sitting in rows and being talked to for 45 minutes. The student today wants to be hands-on, they want to be engaged, they want to be challenged. They want to understand the importance of what they need to learn. Students today want to use technology. We want them to do that because all the careers and jobs available are going to focus on integrating technology. We want to start looking at programs that we know are going to help students for a future, not necessarily a test. If we don't provide those opportunities for schools, we're not going to better the community. We're not going to develop a forward-thinking workforce. What's exciting for us at Flux is hearing about these new schools that are understanding that philosophy and concept. They understand that the classrooms of the past need to be redesigned. Schools adapting to this and understanding the importance of computer science and STEM are going to be way ahead of other areas and other communities. So the idea is that these spaces need to be more open, flexible, collaborative. Redesigning a new learning space or creating a makerspace can be a very complicated and overwhelming process. So we created Flux to be a hands-on experience center. where any educator, student, parent looking at redesigning a learning space can come to Flux to experience what the learning spaces should be. We focus on helping students find their careers. What skills and passions do you have currently, and how can that turn into a career? From community-focused maker events to high school entrepreneurship sessions, we focus on all these innovations in a physical space where you can come to the Experience Center.
Thanks, Ryan. What a great concept. Once again, I'm Matt McChesney, a partner with KSS Architects. We're a 75-person firm with offices in Philadelphia, Princeton, New Jersey, and New York City. I've been personally involved in the K-12 design my whole career, and over the past 20 years, I have developed and led the K-12 market at KSS. Our firm works in many different areas where we broadly describe as learning, commerce, and community. We feel that this cross-pollination of ideas and experience truly enriches all of our work. Our K-12 focus has been primarily in the charter school market, where the school design is often guided by the specific pedagogy of the individual school. We've also designed public, private, pre-K, and special needs schools with a focus on students of autism. We will start our conversation by discussing the design process for the expansion of Academy of the City from elementary school into the middle school grades. Richard, can you tell us a little bit more about Academy of the City's progressive curriculum and how you envisioned it expanding into the middle school grades?
Sure. The mission and vision of Academy of the City was to have children basically become independent and self-reflective learners through concerts like this. The concerts and performances that students did were really based within the curriculum. So they would do project-based learning, public products, be able to share with others and the larger audience. This is a slide that shows the 100th day of school, but includes mathematics. You can see columns and rows. This first grade class is counting by tens. Then they have created their own designs for that. And then the sharing part is a very important part as children start to speak about their work and also their learning. The current school basically is housed in a older Catholic school building. There are conditions that are sort of cramped. This is the music room, as you can see. We've made it work. There's a lot of instruments and children and the specialists have their own classrooms. That's art, music, Spanish, and health. But also children were working in the hallways. We were looking for a site for a middle school that would be larger breakout areas, independent work for children to be self-guided learners.
So as we met with the school and spoke with not just the leadership, but a sampling of their teachers, the innovative curriculum became very apparent. The music teacher talked about the ability to work with students to build drums out of different sized PVC pipes that they would then learn to play. The language arts teacher spoke about the ability to provide options and flexibility in work areas within the classroom to allow students to be most productive and in their comfort zone. As shown by this picture, where a student project is being worked on the hallway floor, space for breakout group work was extremely important and something we heard over and over. This was all based around project-based learning with lots of ideas around cross-disciplinary work. Overall, there was a clear emphasis on some critical spaces. Space to allow students to work and meet in groups. The multimedia lab, which was all about students being able to research, whether it be online or with books, with a clear emphasis on a desire to ensure a love of reading in all students and a supportive, comfortable space for this. An emphasis on being able to create and have access to tools to do this. And finally, a performing arts space where students could express themselves as well as gather the school together. In New York City, there's generally limited opportunities to build new, so most schools are renovations of existing spaces. There are typically two types of existing spaces: large warehouse spaces and existing school buildings, primarily parochial, that are often desperately in need of renovation. The first space that became available was a large warehouse that was conveniently located across from the existing building. Shown in this image in the orange highlight, and the existing school is in the light blue highlight. Richard, do you want to share your initial thoughts on the warehouse space?
Sure. The warehouse space was a great space, one, because of location, but two, also because of the open nature of the building. As you can see in this slide, it needed renovations, but it basically was a clear open space, which would give us a program to be able to build within that space. The warehouse space was a high space, about 18-foot ceilings. So we worked very closely with KSS in order to design a program that would be able to fit within the space.
So we saw a lot of opportunity in the warehouse space, and it was divided into two main areas: a two-story former office wing and a high bay warehouse space that you see here in this photo. The office wing had the potential to work as academic classrooms and administrative space, while the high bay area had potential for large gatherings and specialty spaces. As you can see from this photo, all the spaces had a lot of great natural light. As we developed the design, we conceived it around a large open two-story common space and then organized the primary school spaces around it, shown in this kind of yellow color here. The Black Box Theater, Multimedia Lab, the Makerspace, and the specialty classrooms of art and science were all located around this main space. The second floor, shown here on the right, made up primarily general classrooms and served by smaller support spaces that could serve as breakout space across the corridor, shown in kind of the pink color here. Here's a view of what we conceived the main space would look like. We created a large open stair with step seating that was flanked by the multimedia lab on the right, truly creating a heart of the school. Then reality hit, as often does in the New York City real estate market, and the deal fell through. Academy of the City found another site, which was a former parochial school that had a typical double-loaded corridor layout. So this is its new location in Astoria. Some images of the exterior. You can see it's your typical parochial school, and the interior, which was in pretty rough shape. And unfortunately, this building also really lacked any kind of large open spaces that really would support their curriculum. In addition, it was a 4-story building as opposed to a 2-story building, which forced us to rethink our horizontal design and now work it into this vertical space. So we analyzed the new building to find where its value laid. Its general organization was around a front block that contained 4 classrooms and a back block that was constructed as one open space. So this is the front block here and the back block there. So we went back to the school's priority spaces, where we decided to cluster these on the first floor. Here, we removed the old coat closets, which yielded a large central corridor of common space, which is located here. And we thought that this could really serve as a breakout space. This was flanked by a dining multipurpose space and a multimedia lab on both sides here. We pushed most of the administrative space to the basement to leave the upper levels open for the student spaces. On the second and third floors, we maintained the general classrooms, but again opened up the corridor to serve the desire for the breakout space. We revised the back block of the building to house the common spaces and specialty classrooms, including the makerspace, science lab, art studio, and learning support. Since the building doesn't contain a gym, we extended the new elevator to the roof for a future rooftop play space, possibly enclosed by a bubble. Here are a few renderings. In the classrooms, we removed the ceilings and exposed the original tin ceilings, giving a lot more height to the space, which helps the classroom feel more spacious since they are a bit on the small side. In the multimedia lab, we opened up the wall between the former classrooms to create spaces for students to read, meet, and research, while also providing some overflow eating space. The large performing arts space will allow the school to gather around student presentations. And we have a few construction photos. The first one, this was right after demolition took place to show the what's going to become the common spaces between the classrooms. And the next is the performing arts space, which is currently under construction. The project was originally scheduled to be completed for the fall, but due to COVID, there were a lot of construction delays as the project all projects in New York were shut down for a period of time. And then there's been other issues, but the school has been mostly remote, so they haven't needed this space yet this year. Richard, how do you feel the transformation has worked out?
It's been a very interesting process to what was almost an ideal space to a location and a space that we had to fit program into, but certainly the innovative designs, working very closely with KSS and the school is transforming this space into a great 21st century space. It will have all the tenants that we need in order for the mission of the school to be carried forward. That being large open spaces, breakout spaces, also classroom spaces for smaller work as well. So it's been a great job and a great process to be able to be involved in this, the construction of this building.
Thanks. Now we will turn to another project, another opportunity that was created with Ryan and Flux. Ryan, can you give us an overview of what the services of Flux provide to schools?
Yeah, so Flux, where we started, was an actual physical building, an initiative of our larger company, Corbett Inc., just to help clients understand what the future of a learning space should and could be. We know that a lot of schools, it's a hard time it's a daunting task really to kind of really renovate a space or redesign a space. There's a lot of new innovations out there like maker spaces and STEM labs, and now esports is becoming more popular. So to help our end user and client really understand what the future spaces are, we wanted to create Flux to give those experiences, not just the ability to look at rendering or see a video, but the idea is that the client could come even with a group of students, principals, school board members, superintendent, other administrators to kind of experience what their learning space could be, and not just focus on the furniture placement, but also the programs, experiences, and even some of the innovative products that we know are going to bring unique learning opportunities to students. So as many are still trying to figure out what STEM is, we do our best to try to train educators on, hey, here's what your physical space looks like, but these are the experiences, and here's how you can meet the goals of your district in terms of the STEM initiatives you have going on, and just kind of really help them through the whole process.
What are the types of furniture and equipment and design services that you provide?
Yeah, so we work closely with A&D partners to kind of work on that design and try to figure out what the spaces look like. School trends, which is great, is moving to more collaborative setups. Furniture needs to be flexible, it needs to be mobile. The importance of the space to be reconfigured is really important. Even nowadays, with the idea of social distancing and how can I, given the current state of where we're at with COVID, being able to reconfigure a space and a learning space very easily. But then after COVID, when social distancing is hopefully a thing of the past, we can then set up these classrooms to be more collaborative again. And to have the furniture, to have that functionality at the same time and be mobile is really important, and something that a traditional space hasn't had. So what our sweet spot is that we know a lot of schools, pedagogy and the way that they're teaching is moving forward, and they're moving more towards the student-centered learning environments where students aren't just passive receptors of knowledge, but they're active participants, and the furniture needs to reflect that. So unfortunately, the school's mindset and the pedagogy and the way they're teaching is innovative and new, but the space that they're teaching is not new, and it's really sometimes inhibiting them trying to teach in a more collaborative, project-based learning manner. So we think that furniture is a really important, vital role, and it plays a role in creating that ideal learning, collaborative classroom environment.
How do you start to work with a school?
Yeah, so a lot of times we're at the beginning of the project, which is great. We can help a school kind of generate some ideas and concepts about what they want their new space to be. Working with the school on renovating an existing space or a new renovation is where we're at. So a lot of times schools will come to us for ideas. We do a lot of things, not just tours of our experience center, but we hold student events. We'll offer immersive STEM days for teachers and administrators to come here to kind of see what the learning space, to see what STEM really could be. We do esports events, after school coding clubs. Before COVID, we were doing really well with the in-person things, and we're getting back to it, which is great. But that's type of the projects that we see and where we get started with the school. So most of the time it is at the beginning of the project. Sometimes they'll have a space already in mind. About the project we're going to talk next was kind of that scenario where they caught wind of us. They came to an event. We had some of their high school students walk through and see what was at, and they left our experience center saying, hey, we would love to have something like this at our district.
Okay. So Ryan, let's talk about the high school media center transformation. What was the school looking for when they came to you for support?
Yeah, so we met the group of high school students. It's a local high school. They were here at Flux for some career experiences and walking around and seeing what our inside staff at Corbin Inc. does. It was a design class that they had, so they were excited about learning the process. And when they were here, they realized that they have an outdated library. It's a good library if you're going to go there and do research and be quiet and work independently, but it didn't really match up with their culture and what they were trying to achieve. And this school, this high school does a real good job at giving students a career experience, and their whole career readiness initiative is awesome. And they realized that if they had a physical space where all that could happen, they would even be able to do that a little bit better, and it would help promote some of the goals and initiatives they had with career experiences. So they looked at their high school right now, and again, here's a picture of the existing condition. Everything's attached, real hard to have collaborative areas, and they kind of envisioned and dreamed this to be almost a co-working spot for not only high school students, but the community. An area where industry can meet education, where local companies could come in and talk to students about career opportunities, and just be more of a collaborative space and more used by students for projects.
So we can see the existing library space here. What were the real challenges with the existing furniture and equipment?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge was everything was attached here. So it really kind of was an overhaul of providing new modular and flexible furniture that could be reconfigured. There was some other areas. If you look, if we go to the next slide, you can see the floor plan when we go check that out. Yep, here it is. So they wanted to convert and get rid of some of the shelving. So the two areas to the left and the right, they wanted to create into some kind of a training room. So one of the challenges was seeing their need and addressing the goals, but then also matching it up to the right furniture placement and the right designs so that we can kind of create different areas where different things could be accomplished, but again, all in the same large connected space. And the important thing that we wanted to do was also provide them with flexibility. So this is another option on how they could lay out the furniture. And again, be a space that could be reconfigured for any event. They wanted a real large community event. Everything could be cleared out.
So can you speak a little bit how you reimagined the space and the different types of spaces that were here?
Yeah, so it was really great, again, working with the high school students in this design class and hearing their ideas. So we sat down with them as a team and kind of heard out what they wanted to do and what they wanted the space to see and where they would work in it best. So really trying to meet the goals of the high school. And again, have it be a space, somewhat of like an incubator, a co-working space where not just students could use it, but the community. So they had this need to have separate training rooms where a guest speaker or somebody from the community owned a business would come and talk to the students. So in one of the training rooms on the left or the right, that's where that space could be used. And we designed a glass wall product that could make the space feel completely open, but then secluded or sectioned off if it needed to be. So there's some training rooms on the side. The command center in the middle would be your typical kind of circulation desk. Obviously, less books are going to be checked out. So this was more of a supervisor or a teacher, somebody be in that room to kind of monitor, to provide some kind of active monitoring for the whole space. Below or on the bottom is a career counseling area. Again, the district does a really good job at matching students up with career experiences and internships. So this career counseling place was a spot where the career counselors could meet with students regularly about projects. The high density shelving was essentially going to be the library then, the space where books are kept. They realized though through weeding and different things about taking some books out that they could hopefully condense all the books into that area and have that be a serve spot for storage. Again, the training room 2 would be another area where they could meet out. And the really cool spot is right in the middle where it's just real flexible collaborative furniture that can be moved around. There's areas for large group instruction, small group instruction, the ability to work in small teams or even individually. And then to kind of keep it going with their student entrepreneurship mindsets. They have a coffee bar, and they wanted that to not only, again, be used by the students, but the local community be able to come in, get a cup of coffee and have some meetings and meet with the high school students. And again, just kind of reflect that whole culture idea of they want to meet industry and education and provide students with not just career experiences, but more of a career environment and atmosphere through this space.
So why don't we take a look at a couple of the renderings? You can talk a little bit about the different types of furniture and equipment that were proposed.
Sure. So here's one of the renderings. So again, kind of we're looking at different table configurations, writable surfaces, different shapes of tables that could be reconfigured to make different grouping or different pairing. Cubbies is really big. So a lot of the feedback we got from the high school students when they were here touring our facility is they really appreciated the cubbies. And that's a great space to work in a small group or with a partner. And again, there's a collaborative whiteboard behind you. And the cool thing about this is everything that you see could be moved. So if they wanted to rearrange it to what would meet the need of an event or another course that was going on, they would be able to. So again, the theme of modularity and flexibility is throughout. So here's a shot of the coffee bar area. So again, making it feel more of like a cafe. Not only students could enjoy a cup of coffee, but they might be able to meet with companies, businesses that are providing internship opportunities and have this be a space not just used by students, but also the community. And to the left of the rendering is a large parking lot that actually could be shared by members of the community. So provide an entrance and exit outside to a parking lot that could be easily accessible by people outside of the school. So here's more of a personalized kind of privacy area. So some of the furniture pieces have a higher back, which allow you to work independently if you need to, but then also the ability to lean forward and work as a group. The purple stools in the back, the ruckus stools provide more of a personalized area. There would be power throughout that. So if a student needed a touchdown spot to kind of charge a device, they would be able to do this in this corner. Another area that could be kind of moved to the command center is there to the left. Just other areas that students could meet as small groups, maybe meet with the teacher and again, somebody from industry outside. Some computers over there. We were playing around with graphics to kind of motivate them. High school design students had a part in that too, about what would the branding look like and what could get students excited in a space and bring some inspiration. But again, everything that you see here is modular. So the ability to move things around and reconfigure whiteboards and make their own spaces is necessary. So that thing of the past of having attached desks to the floor, not being able to move is long gone. Here's a career counseling area. So a separate breakout room that a career counselor could use with the student. They could bring a high school student in or meet with them, ask how the internship's going. This space at the school, it was in another classroom far from the library. So their idea then of this initiative of how do we create these breakout spaces where maybe there's some more private conversations going on here, but yet it feels more of like the whole school initiative. We were able to kind of bring that to fruition by having these career counseling rooms right within the large space of the library. And here's another one of the training rooms. So it could be for the large group instruction areas, which is good. Tables have writable surfaces. So if students wanted to jot down ideas, could be used by a teacher in a class trying to brainstorm some ideas or have somebody outside come in and deliver a talk or speak to students about a career opportunity that they would have. And this would be the training room on the other side, has the same exact feel. It doesn't really have the tiered seating, the soft seating that was in the other training room. So again, this one might be able to use for testing if they needed to. And again, just serves that multi-function, multi-purpose space. Writable surfaces, again, for students to jot down ideas, could meet as a group or could be facing the front of the room for a talk given by somebody outside the school.
Hey, thanks. Nice little tour through the space. Realizing that it hasn't yet finished construction, do you have any lessons learned that you could share with the group?
Yeah, I think lesson learned is this was probably one of the projects where high school students were involved the most, and it was a great partnership. The high school students did a great job. We were really, blown away by their input and their ability to work through a project like this, and learning from the district too, and kind of proving that these are the type of career experiences what they want to give kids and their students, but not only valuable for the students, but also for us and being in the industry and as a company. If you think about it, the high school student is the end user. They're the client that's going to be using the space. And if the school wants the space to be used by students, it's best to interview and ask students. So this kind of encouraged us for similar projects that we have like this to have a school not only recruit a team of teachers, admin, and community members, but also students and hear their input, voice their opinions, and give them a platform to speak at. And that was really valuable to have them be a part of the process. Again, the design lined up perfectly as they were doing this for a design class at the high school. So it was really great to work with them closely on the project. And we think it had a really cool outcome. And it was a win-win by all.
Thanks. So through these two case studies, we've learned that there are different ways to integrate innovative curriculums into an existing built environment. Richard and Ryan, do you have any concluding thoughts?
I love the idea, and I actually really love the amount of space that Ryan's project has, and sort of wish we had more space. Yet, certainly to the concept of having modular and movable furniture, that's certainly, I think, a real key element that Ryan's project, as well as Academy of the City, is really taking into account, especially with the students, in our case, middle school students, being the main users of that and being able to transform the space into different ways of being able to see that space as well. And then I think really having the open space available versus small clustered space really is key, I think, for Academy of the City.
Yeah, and I can add to that, and Richard makes a good point. Sometimes schools don't have a large space like that. And I think that's kind of why our vision in helping schools and through the work that we're doing at Flux is we know that some schools, it's not going to be a new renovation project, but they might be taking an existing building, something that's small and outdated. And hey, Ryan, here's this old computer lab. What can we do with it that would inspire kind of, maybe have a STEM focus? And that's when we'll go in and help consult on maybe it's an esports space, maybe it could be a STEM lab, a STEAM lab, a collaboration area. So the work that we're doing, exciting for me, I'm actually a former 8th grade science teacher, and seeing some of the work that we can do to help schools demystify what the future innovations of education are and how we can deliver a pretty cool experience at their school. So a lot of schools come here, they get excited. We can't have this because you have a really cool warehouse at Flux and it's real cool and innovative. But I think it's our job to try to motivate them and get them to understand that, hey, this experience can happen in your school and this is how we can do it. So again, it is tricky sometimes for schools, provided they don't have a large footprint like that. But I think that's where we can come in and kind of create some pretty cool creative solutions that we know are going to bring some more student-centered, STEM-focused experiences to school. Some that, students are going to enjoy and then teachers enjoy as well, which kind of gets them excited about being in the building again. So I'm sure Richard is getting his teachers excited about being in that space to learn. And, I think we take for granted sometimes what the environment can really serve in terms of morale and what the school culture can be about.
Yeah, I think it's really an exciting time to be working in the education field, not only because of kind of the transformational education practices that we've been seeing over the last 10, 15 years that these kind of spaces are responding to, but even, the current impact of COVID has transformed what we were seeing about blended learning and approaches to remote learning. So I think, all of these options, these are just a couple examples, but I think there's a lot of opportunity out there to really kind of push these things forward. And, having a space like Flux where the school could come and visit and get those ideas without having to make a huge investment first, I think is a really supportive way to do it. So if there's nothing else, I just wanted to thank the audience for their attendance and let them know if they have any follow-up questions. Our contact information is on the screen. Feel free to send an email to any of us. We'd love to hear from you and get back to you. So that being said, I think we're done. But I just want to wish everyone luck and with their next project and their future of innovating the education of our children. Thank you.